What's up everybody? In this video I'm going to be doing a review of iOS 7 and iOS 6, and basically I'm going to be comparing them side by side. As you can see here, I have two iOS devices. This one is the iPod Touch 4G, this one is the iPhone 5. And the iPhone 5 has iOS 7 Beta 3, which is the latest version installed on it of iOS 7 in the beta form. And the iPod Touch 4G has iOS 6.1.4, which is the latest version of iOS 6. So I figured I'd go ahead and show you guys some of the visual differences as well as features themselves in this video. So let's jump right into it. As you can see here, this actually is the lock screen, which is a lot different on both iOS operating systems. The iOS 6 has the typical operating system design that we know, where you slide to unlock on the bottom. It's got the camera here in the bottom right where you can slide it up, and it's got the screen and the time up there in the top, as well as the status bar. Updated in iOS 7, you can actually slide to unlock from anywhere, not just down here at the bottom. And it does have the notification center access on the lock screen, as well as the control center access on the lock screen as well. You can still access the camera, and it still has all the same controls there. So I'll go ahead and jump right in here to the devices. And basically, once you unlock it, as you can see, the iOS 7, as a lot of you guys know, has the flat design. So a lot of the icons are flat. It's got a whole new updated design. And the iOS 6 is the typical iOS 6 that we have come to know and love, where it's the older design where they seem to pop out at you and look more 3D rather than flat. So just to give you an idea of what some apps actually look like here, I'll go ahead and open up reminders. As you can see, the visual differences here, the whole operating system in iOS 7 is a lot more. I'll go ahead and lower the brightness here for you guys, just to make it a little easier to see. The whole iOS 7 is flatter rather than the iOS 6, as you can see there. I'll go ahead and open up Safari here and go to, let's say, apple.com on both of them to show you what that looks like. As you can see, the browser on iOS 7 is flat, as well as a totally updated design, and looks totally different. So that's another difference. Basically, the whole design is updated to be flatter. Another big difference I noticed is in multitasking. So if I go to multitasking here, double tap on iOS 7, you have the full multitasking view, while on the iOS 6 you only have the bar here. To close out of apps, you can simply swipe up like that on iOS 7. You actually have to hold it in iOS 6, as you guys know, and then X out with a little red arrow in the upper left. The App Store in general looks way different. Just to show you guys that, another example of a visual difference. The iPod Touch 4 is obviously slower device than the iPhone 5, so it'll load slower. But as you can see, this is generally what they look like. It looks a lot different in iOS 7. You can also add some new features in iOS 7, such as adding apps to the wish list, which is very cool, in my opinion. In terms of music, they did add the radio in iOS 7. They did add the iOS 6 is the typical music app that we have come to know. And the radio I actually love. I use this a lot in iOS 7, and it is a great new feature. Just to show you some videos, I guess, what they look like. This is the visual interface. As you can see there, it looks totally different. When you play a video on iOS 7, this is what it looks like. That's the video interface. As you can see, it's very flat. On iOS 6, this is what it looks like. It's the typical pop-up view. So that's another difference. That's what that looks like. And overall, generally, everything has changed a lot. In terms of speed, iOS 6 is still more stable than iOS 7 is right now, just because iOS 7 is in beta. But I do think that iOS 7 will be updated by the time the final version is released to be a lot faster than iOS 6, as it uses less memory and stuff like that. In terms of my own thoughts on these operating systems, I do love the look of both of them. At this point, I do have to admit that I think I still like iOS 6 a little bit better with the design, but iOS 7 I also love, and I'm sure I'll get more used to it as time goes on in the future. And also, in terms of the apps and things, I think iOS 7 has a lot of new features. I love the new control center and the ability to swipe anywhere to unlock, this notification center access on the lock screen. I do think iOS 7 just has a lot of new features that are more subtle features than iOS 6 that I really appreciate more. And I do think it's going to be a great operating system regardless. But that was just a quick comparison of iOS 7 and iOS 6 side by side. So hopefully you guys liked this video. If you did, be sure to rate thumbs up and favorite it for more content, as well as subscribe, as I upload regular Apple content on iOS and iOS devices. So stay tuned for that. And also be sure to follow me on Twitter, my website, my Google Plus page, my Facebook page, and my vlog channel in the description. Those are also great ways to follow me, as I update those regularly as well. And finally, be sure to check out the link in the description to get paid iOS and Android apps for free. And again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.